What's going on, all you wild ghouls and goblins? Your two favorite Cinephellas boys are back here for our final installment episode of 31 Days of Horror, and we're doing our Halloween episode tonight. I am Logan Myers.
I'm Uncle Henry.
And we're happy to be back here doing yet another Halloween episode. If you guys have been following our YouTube channel, last year we did the top Jason Voorhees kills. Tonight we're going to be tackling our favorite horror franchise and our favorite masked assailant, the OG that kicked it all off, the slasher subgenre. We're talking about Uncle Michael Myers, and we're going to be talking about our favorite Michael Myers kills in the Halloween franchise. So let's get to it.
It's Halloween, and everyone's entitled to one good scare.
You don't know what that is?
Everybody's entitled to plenty of Michael Myers great kills, and there were tons to choose from making these lists. I had a good time going on YouTube and recalling the kills that I remember from all the movies, typing them up, having them right there so I can refresh my memory for these great kills. There's a lot of inventive ones. I put some inventive ones on the list I thought were really cool, from some of the movies that I don't really care too much of, after 6. There, several of those movies are just really bad.
Yeah.
So they weren't revisiting as a whole this time, but I had a good time going through it, and at least, going back to the kills and watching those kill videos.
Yeah, there's so many great ones. I mean, this franchise has been going on for over 40 years. So it's, sometimes it's hard to narrow it down to our favorites, but there's a ton of these. And if you guys have been following our channel recently, we reviewed the brand new film, Halloween Kills. That was just a bloodbath from start to finish. Michael Myers and a killing rampage right from the get-go of the film. And I'm going to kick it off here with my number 10 kill from the newest film, Halloween Kills. And I'm talking about the scene with the lady, and he impales her with a fluorescent light bulb, and it just goes right through her throat. And that made me cringe and jump in the movie theater downstairs in my house. It made me literally jump. I'm like, oh! I can't do that. I can do blood all day long, but broken bones and getting impaled by things, it really bothers me. And I thought it was just a really great kill scene and one of the better shots of the film for sure.
For sure. What a way to start the film. Reminiscent very much of the original one where he's going through the house. You don't know where he's at. He's in the shadows. He's kind of lurking around. The people have no idea he's there until I think they notice a door open or a window or whatever. The guy goes to look. Uncle Michael ends up coming in, taking him out, and stabs the woman, breaks that fluorescent light, shoves it in her neck, and then continues to stab her with multiple times, basically impales her with knives, leaves the knife sticking in. Then he finally grabs the big butcher knife and boom, stabs her one more time, like his little masterpiece. I'm surprised he didn't do the head tilt, which we'll see in one of the kills on our list too. But I agree. Very cool kill, and a very awesome way to begin Halloween Kills and set the mood for how much of a killing spree he was going to go on throughout the film.
Yeah, Michael put 10 knives in her husband, the guy from Rescue Me, and nailed her with the light, and she's just kind of watching as her husband's getting brutally murdered, pretty much dead at that point. Just kept stabbing him with different knives and shit, and she's just sitting there bleeding out, it's not going to end well for her. So what a way to go out, a way to kick off our list tonight with Halloween Kills. If there's anything we could take out of the new film, there's a lot of good blood and a lot of good kill scenes, that's for sure.
All right, well, I put my kills in order. I don't know, this order could be from day to day, could change. I just kind of put it in order in the top of my head here. So I mean, it's up for debate what ranks higher, but I'm going to start my list number 10 from Rob Zombie's Halloween, the Big Joe Grizzly scene. It's not only shows you how brutal Michael is and how strong he is and powerful in the Rob Zombie film, but it's also a funny scene. You have Big Joe Grizzly, Ken Faree, in the bathroom stall at a truck stop. This is where Michael's going to get the his jumpsuit that he's going to wear throughout the Rob Zombie's film. But he comes across Big Joe Grizzly taking a dump. Michael comes in. Big Joe Grizzly looks down. You can see Michael's feet. Michael's feet are in these sandals, and you see these awful feet, just black and rotting. The nails all rotted. It's super gross. And Ken Faree's like, "You better stay out of here." And he says something about he just had some tacos that aren't agreeing with him, and he's taking a big dump. Basically, Michael doesn't leave; he stays there. Big Joe Grizzly ends up, gets the door caved in on him, and Uncle Michael meets him there on the toilet and bashes him through the side wall of the bathroom stall, and just shows Michael's brutality from the start. It's not very it doesn't show a lot of gore or anything in the scene, but it just shows you how strong Tyler Mane was as Rob Zombie's Michael. He's just this big, powerful, hulking beast that if you get in his way, he's going to easily manhandle you and take you out. And this kind of set the tone for the Rob Zombie Halloween for when we caught up with the grown-up Michael in that version.
Yeah, Tyler Mane is a massive dude. He's over 7 feet tall. We met him a few times. Really kindest guy you'll ever meet. Big teddy bear, but he's huge. Yeah. And it was pretty menacing seeing a 7 foot tall Michael Myers walk around Haddonfield. And if there's anything you can take out of the Rob Zombie films, there's some really good kill scenes.
For sure. This one set the stage for the rest of the film. Revisiting the film, it's not as good as, back then, especially after seeing just, David Gordon Green's vision. I just like his film better. It was a Rob Zombie version, a lot of trashy dialogue and a lot of stuff that makes you cringe. Just these people are all dirty, and Michael's killing animals as a kid and stuff. It just makes you feel kind of gross watching it. It's just the way Rob Zombie's world is in all his films. The people are unforgivable and just nasty. But the kills in that movie were pretty good, and it all started with Big Joe Grizzly.
That's right. One of our favorites. And we talked about him in an earlier film earlier this month, Dawn of the Dead. So
right.
Cool seeing him still working in horror, like 30 years later. So
right.
Really great actor. Moving on with the list, my number 9 is from a film that we just reviewed this Halloween season. One of our favorites from the Thorn trilogy. I'm talking about Halloween 6 and the killing of John Strode, that piece of shit dad that you just hate throughout the movie. He's so he's such a bad person, talking down to his daughter, hitting her, and saying she's useless. So it was coming. Michael Myers is going to find this guy and electrocutes him down in the basement. One of the better kill scenes of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
An awesome kill, yes. John Strode's death was number 6 on my list. So basically Michael gets him down in the basement. He hears some noises. He goes down in the basement. He checks the washer, pulls out some bloody clothes from the washer, and he's like, what the hell? Michael's behind him, grabs him, ends up putting him up into, I don't know, it must be a fuse box or something. It electrocutes him so bad that you see all this froth and blood start coming from his mouth. And eventually John Strode's head explodes. And it also knocks out the power on the street there in Haddonfield. So definitely a very cool kill there for part 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. John Strode gets it, and he deserved every bit of it.
Yeah, what a piece of shit. And I just a guy from the beginning, you're like, all right, this guy needs to die. You don't like wishing bad things upon people, but bad characters like this are like, this guy's got to go, and he goes out the best way.
My number 9 is from Halloween H2O. Not actually, you don't even see this kill on screen, but it's worth mentioning because it's a big star now. That's right. I'm talking about Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We see him in the beginning of the film, young Joseph. He's just a teenager in this movie. He's into hockey. He's into hockey, carries around a hockey stick. He ends up in the neighborhood over, I believe Marion Crane is in this film in the beginning. I think she's the one that discovers him.
Yep.
Michael ends up, basically impaling his head with one of his hockey skates. So you see Joseph Gordon in the chair, and he's got a skate, the blade directly through his face. It impaled him. So worth mentioning for H2O, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That was, the biggest, obviously, the biggest celebrity from the film that eats it. Just to go with that one, since you don't really see that one, even though it was Michael's doing. So another kill worth mentioning from H2O, one where you actually see, Michael do the kill. There's a girl, I can't remember the character's name, but anyway, she goes in this dumbwaiter, which is basically an elevator that can lift up and down. You can send things from one floor to the other, basically food and stuff. Well, she goes in this running away from Michael after he has just killed one of her friends. So she climbs in with his body. She goes down in it, and obviously Michael sees her going down in the dumbwaiter in the elevator. He cuts the rope so it goes all the way down. She's trying to crawl out on the bottom floor, and the elevator crushes her leg, breaks her leg. So she has to pull her leg out of there. It's all mangled up. and Michael ends up, coming down and finishing the job, killing her brutally. But that was a bad break when you saw
Yeah.
that elevator land right on her leg. So yeah, those two kills from H2O, I'll combine into one. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, we didn't see Michael actually do the kill, but then yeah, the girl in the dumbwaiter was another cool kill from Halloween H2O.
That was a fun one to see in the theater. I remember going to see it with a buddy in school. I think my mom took us, and that was really good. Like I was edging my seat pretty much throughout that film. Being in junior high, it was cool to see Michael Myers in the big screen, and it was marketed well. There's a lot of people in it. Oh, Cool J was in it. He was a big thing back then, and yeah, definitely a lot of memorable kills in that. Like up and coming actors. You had Josh Hartnett and Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams.
Hot off of Dawson's Creek, it's just like the hot up and coming actors, but definitely a good theater experience for me.
Yeah, it was awesome. 20 years later, after the original, they brought back Laurie Strode in this. She assumed a different name. She had her own family, and it was a cool way to, reintroduce Michael back to theaters after Part 6 didn't do so great at the box office. H2O really brought him back into popular culture, and ever since then, the Halloween franchise has been as strong as ever.
Speaking of the new Halloween films, 2018 one that David Gordon Green, Danny McBride, and me and this guy went to see it in the theater. Didn't really care for it, but there was some pretty memorable kills in it. Talking about Halloween 2018, Michael smashes Dr. Sartain's face and like a pumpkin. And the way it's shot's really cool because it's the cop car and you see the cherries, the red and the blue, and you see Michael's face with the way the camera goes up at him. Really cool shot, and the way that he kills Dr. Sartain is pretty brutal.
Yes, brutal. Squashes his head literally with ease. Just you hear the smash, you hear the splatter, and it basically is like a pumpkin being smashed. It's Dr. Sartain's head, this doctor that's been with Michael when he was locked up in the criminally insane hospital there, treating him, basically becomes obsessed with Michael. You don't know that at the beginning that he's going to turn evil, but basically he is obsessed with Michael and all his kills, and eventually it catches up with him. Michael doesn't care who he is or care that he, enjoys his handiwork. Michael sees everybody as a victim, and Dr. Sartain got in his way, and his head ends up being splatted like a pumpkin on Halloween night. That was my number. Let's see. I had that on my list too. That was my number 5, Dr. Sartain. Head stomp. That sound I can still hear from the movie, and that visual that was grotesque.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best shots of the film. The rest of the movie, not so much. Kind of all over the place, but I'm glad they fixed a lot of things with Halloween kills, in my opinion.
For sure.
And the next kill on my list is number 7 from Halloween 5. One of the few good things about that awful movie. And I'm talking about Kelly getting impaled by the cop shotgun, where we think it's the actual cop in the rocking chair or whatever, but it turns out it's Uncle Michael and just fucking shoves it right through Kelly up against the wall. Big O Biddy's Kelly, as they called her in the film. And like I said, one of the good parts about the film was the kill scenes, and the rest of the film, not so much.
Not so much. Another cool scene with Michael just being, crazy over the top, insane with his kills. He could shove a shotgun right through somebody's chest, impale her with ease. Kelly in Part 5. That was almost on my list. I was thinking about that one. I figured you were going to handle it, so I picked a couple different ones. My number, what are we on now? 7 or 8? Okay. Next on my list was from the latest one, Halloween Kills. This will probably go up higher. It was really brutal. This is one of the most brutal Michael kills from the film. We have Cameron, Andy Manichuk's boyfriend from the first one. Obviously, at the end of that one, he cheats on her. They have a falling out. And in Halloween Kills, they get back together. They work things out. They're going after Michael together. When Lonnie gets the gang together, Lonnie's his dad. And anyways, they end up, it's at Michael's house where he goes. And Cameron ends up getting impaled through the staircase. He gets his head shoved through the staircase.
Yeah.
Michael pulls it back several times, breaks all the railings there on the staircase. And then to top it off, when Michael's walking downstairs, he grabs Cameron's head and twists it 360 degrees, and you hear the neck snap.
Oh man, that was one of the that made me, I'm like, oh
yeah,
that was a good one. The way he just kept going and going and going. With that kid, he feel bad, because the character's kind of a piece of shit in the first movie, but it was better in Part 2, and then you didn't want to see him die. But killed in the most brutal way.
One of the most brutal Michael kills on screen ever, if not the most brutal on screen, because we've seen some gnarly ones, but that one took it to a whole nother level. He used his sheer power to, pull his head through the railings, smash it. There was a chance that maybe he could have survived that, but when Michael walked down the stair and grabbed him by the hair basically and turned his neck around all the way, it was lights out for old Cameron.
And number 6 on my list, another Halloween 6 movie, because my favorite one in the Thorn trilogy, a lot of great memorable kills. I'm talking about Jamie Lloyd. She gets impaled by the corn thresher in the barn in Halloween 6, and it's a really great intro to the film because she's on the loose or trying to get away from Michael Myers, and she's driving the truck, and she ends up at the farm, and she gets impaled by the corn thresher. Really great.
That was really terrifying scene that set the stage for that whole movie. Really dark opening.
Yeah.
Michael himself looked kind of goofy, the body type and the mask and everything, but he was pretty brutal in this movie. And that opening scene was very dark and kind of set the stage for the rest of part 6, which itself, the movie's really good. It's just, getting over how Michael looks in it. He looked like he went to Portillo's one too many times.
Yeah, a little chubby, shorter. The mask was kind of goofy and the hair, but he had some really good, memorable kills and a great introduction in that movie, especially. And you see it, he turns on the corn thresher and like,
blood squirting out, body
squirting out everywhere. You're like, okay, this is the tone they're going for in this film. They went super dark.
That's right.
Major upgrade from Halloween 5.
The next one on my list, some of these have crossed over, so I don't even really know what number I'm on, but I'll tell you the next one on my list. Nurse Karen, the hot tub kill from Michael Myers from Halloween 2. So there's this nurse there. There's some nudity with this nurse. She's waiting down in the hot tub, gonna take a little dip, and old Michael finds her down there, basically shoves her head. He turns up the hot tub all the way, so it's as hot as it can get. It's basically boiling for some reason. There's a boiling hot tub in the hospital there, and he's not only drowning Nurse Karen, but he's also shoving her head in this boiling water. So every time he pulls her head up, you see skin melting off her face. Just gets worse and worse until he finally pulls her up, and basically you can see bone underneath her skull. You can see through her face. It's a really brutal kill. And Halloween 2, one of the better sequels, if not the best sequel to the franchise there. And this was a crazy kill from Halloween 2. Nurse Karen getting drowned and boiled, her face boiled at the same time.
Talk about awesome practical effects, back in the early 80s. I thought that was really well done. That's my number 3. One of my favorite kills and one of the most memorable ones from Halloween 2. And, with the nurse in there, and then you got Bud, the sexual predator in the film. Like, come on, baby, let's get in the hot tub. Let's get naked, like creepy. And he gets killed in the background, and Michael comes out. She's like, oh, making out.
Bud, I'm ready.
Yeah, hey, Bud. And she's like,
Michael puts his hand on her, and she's like touching his hand.
Oh, Bud,
Bud, your hands have grown.
They're all bloody and
She doesn't notice.
I'm like, come on. Well, that's such a great scene. I love the effects in that movie, in that scene. My next one would be from Halloween 4, Bucky the electrician, electrical guy, thrown into the transformer. So he turns around, it's just like it's so good.
That's hilarious. He's like, what the hell are you doing here? This is private property, no trespassing. No trespassing. What are you, deaf? And then he's like, don't try that Halloween shit with me. And Michael just grabs him.
Throws him like
tosses him into the transformer.
Yeah, obviously like a dummy. Just like flailing in the wind.
Apparently at Halloween Horror Nights, they had a character, Bucky. They have like that character there with the hard hat on that says Bucky, and then like a burnt face from being electrocuted like that.
Really?
Yeah, one of the funnier Michael Myers kills for sure. Old Bucky.
Yeah, I remember watching Halloween 4 at a young age, VHS, like renting it and remembering that scene and another scene we'll talk about, but I always stuck in my mind. I always love that kill scene.
It's awesome. Poor Bucky, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he got thrown into the transformer.
Leave old Bucky alone. He didn't do nothing wrong.
Don't try that Halloween shit on me. Michael's like, huh?
Say no more. I'm gonna throw you in
Yeah.
the transformer.
Right. Too funny. Yeah, that was number 4 on my list.
Yeah, number 4 for me is from Halloween 2, one of the greatest sequels ever made, and a movie I'd love to watch on the actual Halloween. The 31st of October, it's our go-to. Still creeps the shit out of me. It's one of the reasons I hate hospitals, because of this movie, Halloween 2. Michael Myers just lurking in the hallways. For some odd reason, there's no lights in the hospital. 4 people work there.
Yeah.
a lot of plot holes, but it still creeps the shit out of me. But I'm going to be talking about scenes with Michael and the nurse with the scalpel. It sticks in her back and like picks her up.
Yeah.
And she's like, the nerves and shit shaking. And
Yeah.
just really creeped me out as a kid. I remember him just coming around the hallway there and just picking her up. And he kind of pulled that out in the new Halloween Kills with the firefighters. But I always loved that scene, how strong and otherworldly he was.
Yeah, and in part 2, it was Dick Warlock was playing the Shape, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, he did a great job in this, just the way he walked and everything. It was a little different from Nick Castle in the first one, but he still got the same mannerism, and he's just overall like more menacing, I thought, and more on a mission to kill in part 2. Yeah, there are a lot of great kill scenes in the hospital when he's going through there, stalking, kills a bunch of nurses, obviously, with nurse Karen there. And yeah, he was brutal in part 2. I agree. That was a great kill with the scalpel. Lifts her up with one hand. Her feet are trembling. The shoes, I think, fall off like they do for another kill that we'll mention too. But yeah, I agree. That was a great one. They should have they should have had Dr. Chalice in part 2 and then brought him over to part 3. That would have been cool if Tom Atkins could have been.
Yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been awesome if they would have done that. Oh, well. I was hoping he would show up in the new one, but guess not.
He could have brought a 6-pack and added some levity to the situation there. Him and Bud would have got along great.
Yeah. He's like, hey, Lindsay. Lindsay Wallace.
All right. The next one on my list, I'm down to number 3 because a lot of the ones crossed over, obviously. But my number 3 that I have listed is Annie. And I'm talking about Annie Brackett, Sheriff Brackett's daughter from the first one, one of Laurie's friends. And that scene, that whole scene where Michael is stalking Annie, she's babysitting at the time. She hears some noises. Michael's basically stalking her throughout the house and ends up, Annie's trying to get out in the car. She hops in the car. Michael springs out from the back. We get that awesome score when John Carpenter hits that note when Michael you see his body rise real quick and grabs her in the front and chokes her out in the back. Just shows you Michael's, always in the back seat. And that always creeped me out too. Like still to this day, if it's dark out, I always like check the back seat, make sure nobody's hanging out back there, going to pop out when I'm driving.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I'm like, I'm in a parking lot late at night. I always look in the back seat. I'm like, thank you, Michael Myers, for teaching me life lessons.
Yeah. And they did pay homage to that in Halloween Kills too in the beginning there, where they think, Michael's in the car, obviously. The nurse, the doctor that's dressed up like a nurse goes in there. She thinks it's Michael in the backseat. It's actually that other guy that escaped that looks like the penguin that the mob goes after in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, always in the backseat, always there, ready to kill.
That's what we learned from this movie.
Yeah.
Watch out for the backseat. No necking back there, especially if Uncle Michael's back there.
Exactly. If there's sex involved, Uncle Michael will be close behind.
Yeah, my number 3 is what we talked about from Halloween 2 was the nurse in the hot tub boiling. That was a good choice. One of my favorite kills from that movie too.
Absolutely. My number 2 is from Halloween 2 as well. Another cool one, a great use of the score, John Carpenter. Basically, it's where Alice Martin's on the phone. It's a classmate of Laurie. She's talking on the phone. This is shortly in the beginning of the film where Michael's going around house to house killing. And we see Alice on the phone, obviously back then on the landline, had the big cord from the kitchen wrapped around. It's a great shot. It shows her on the phone and it shows behind her. And you see Michael slowly walking towards her from the background. It just follows him as he comes in. And eventually, he steps out of frame into the other room. She thinks she hears something. She's going to check around. She brings the phone with her. He's in the next room. And then all of a sudden he just springs up from the floor, boom, and it hits that John Carpenter note. And he kills her, takes her out. I love those kills in the franchise. Those are awesome where he just springs out of nowhere. Those are the best ones. Michael Myers always lurking in the shadows. And, that's what he is. He's the boogeyman. He can come from anywhere. And I love how he just like, I don't know where he was, where he sprung like that. Cause it's like he jumped from the floor, but like he basically just like comes in a frame like this. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like a trampoline or something.
Yeah. But yeah, just John Carpenter hitting the note right when he jumps up. It's a great scene. Great kill. Very cool. I love that shot of him right behind her. She's turned around and you just see Michael coming through the hallway. And then right when she's about to turn around, he just cuts into the next room. You don't see him for a little bit. And then he ends up springing out and killing old Alice.
Love that opening scene in Halloween 2 where they're like tracking him, like going from house to house. And there's a few Easter eggs in the new film from Halloween 2, but I just love that opening scene. One of the best openings in horror, in my opinion.
It really feels like Halloween 2 with all the jack-o'-lanterns still burning in the windows. People have their windows open.
Yeah.
Still Halloween night. So, people still have their jack-o'-lanterns going and stuff. It's really cool how he sneaks in basically house to house there, and he's just going on his killing spree. Then eventually he tracks Lori to Haddonfield Memorial. And yeah, the new films really follow a lot of the early ones, especially Halloween 1 and 2. And in Halloween Kills, we see nods to the others in the franchise, Easter eggs galore. So that's what I do appreciate about David Gordon Green's. He's, obviously a huge fan of the originals. And in part 4, we see things from even movies from the later franchise. So those are really cool to see in the new films.
The last 2 that I have on my list are from the OG, the original Halloween from 1978. This is one that kickstarted the rest of the franchise, all the slasher movies to come out. And my number 2 is when Ghost Michael shows up in the sheet and the glasses after killing Uncle Bob. He ends up killing Linda, which is really fantastic. Again, with the phone cord back then, the landlines.
Yep, that's a great kill. And that's, obviously Bob and Linda are involved in some extracurricular activities up in the bedroom. Uncle Bob goes down to the refrigerator to grab a beer, and Michael ends up impaling him into the wall. This is kind of like my, 1 and 2 together. There are 2 kills here. Actually, I'll say it's 2, but I'm going to put 2 together. I'm going to put Bob getting stabbed when Michael gets him downstairs, stabs him through the wall. You see his legs twitching. You see his shoes kind of falling. And then you see Michael just staring at him, cocking his head back and forth, admiring his handiwork. And then Michael ends up getting the sheet to make himself look like a big ghost, cuts out the eyeballs and everything, walks back in. Linda thinks that it's Bob. Oh, Bob.
Oh, you're so big.
Yeah, come on and join me, you big ghost. And it's Michael under the sheet. And he ends up choking her to death while she's on the phone. Because, that's what teenagers do. They talk on the phone, and back then phones had the cords. So we saw a lot of the choking scenes from the original films. And the Ghost Michael and the Bob and Linda kills, very famous and very awesome kills from the original film.
Yeah, bringing up Bob getting pinned in the wall there, the pantry, whatever it was, and Michael turning his head. One of the most iconic shots from the film. Still one of the spookiest shots, one of my all-time favorite shots in cinema history. Just the way that Dean Cundy set up, the colors and stuff, the way that it was filmed, even, the background with the windows and stuff, and just Michael cocking his head, just really eerie and unsettling about it. And that was the Shape, that was Michael Myers in the first film, and so iconic. And I love what Nick Castle did with the character. And watching the movies that made us, they're talking about the original Halloween movie. I guess Carpenter's just like, just tilt your head. And that
just
scene.
A suggestion,
Nick Castle. There's never like an elaborate, a reason why they did certain things. There's just like, just turn your head, like you're admiring your work, like an artist.
And it turned out to be
one
of the most iconic Michael things ever. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. That creeped the shit out of me as a young kid seeing the first movie, and still to this day, one of the best and spookiest scenes in Halloween.
It really is pure evil, that Michael Myers.
Pure
evil. Enjoying his handiwork from 1978 Halloween, done on a shoestring budget, bunch of film students. John Carpenter, together with Deborah Hill, came up with this classic movie that all these years later we're still watching every Halloween season, enjoying. And new films coming out of the franchise every year. John Carpenter back on board. It's an exciting time, and the franchise lives on from the first one. You can't have this kill list without my number one. Obviously, the first kill from Halloween 1978, where we see young Michael kill his sister. We see it through his vision, which is, iconic. We see him put on the little clown mask. You just see the camera through the little eye holes. You hear the breathing, the tracking as he's walking around the house, going up the stairs, going up into his sister's room. Sister's up there at the makeup table, and he ends up stabbing her. You just see the knife. You just see this motion with the kid, but it's just iconic. It's like something you've never seen before, especially at that time. Young Michael killing his sister on Halloween night.
Yeah, and that was actually Deborah Hill, like the stabbing and stuff and picking up the mask, because
That's right. That was on movies
small.
Movies
So
that
I had-
made us too.
Yeah, so it had to be believable as a kid. So it was her because she was pretty short and small. So her little hands going out, it's pretty cool. That's Deborah Hill. But yeah, what a way to start off the film and kind of get the overall tone of where it's going with the young kid that has pure evil in him. So it's his killing spree at a young age, and what happens over the years and how he goes on the killing spree and never stop. Really great way to kick off Halloween and this huge franchise, probably the biggest horror franchise out there, and still to this day my favorite.
My favorite too. Great to revisit all these kills. I had a couple ones. Let's see, actually one, because you already mentioned the Kelly shotgun. I thought the one in the new Halloween Kills, Big John, where he gets basically impaled with Michael's fingers going right through his eyeballs. That one was a pretty gnarly one. So many good kills though, man. We could make this list the top 50. You can really go through any movie and pick out about 5 a piece. There's so many good ones. Obviously the original, it all came from there. So a lot of, we had a lot of kills from the original, especially 1 and 2. But there have been some great ones. There have been some funny ones. We mentioned a lot, some really gnarly ones with heads exploding and, Michael coming out of the shadows to kill, being sneaky, Michael just showing his brute strength, impaling people with things, lifting people up with one arm, basically. It's just a crazy franchise and the ultimate slasher, in my opinion. We have Friday the 13th and we have the other slasher movies, but it all started from Uncle Michael here. And what a great way to end this 31 days of horror to cover Michael Myers kills.
Yeah, the GOAT in terms of horror and slashers, Uncle Michael Myers, the man, the myth, the legend, the pure evilness that keeps going on and on and on. We got another movie coming out next year, so maybe next year we'll come back and review Halloween Ends and see how this all ends, or maybe it doesn't. But yeah, there's so many kills in the Halloween franchise, so many memorable ones, iconic ones that we both love. And a few of the honorable mentions, the one you talked about, Jimmy Howell, played by Joseph Gordon with the ice skate. Halloween 4, the opening scene with the doctor, he puts his thumb through his head. And another funny one from the new Halloween Kills that was pretty memorable was Michael knocks on the window and that lady accidentally shoots herself.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was kind of like fucked up but comedic at the same time. And something I wasn't expecting. And another great one from Halloween Kills, the opening shot with the firefighters. That was pretty brutal, and that set the tone of what David Gordon Green is going for in the sequel film, and how he had the poker and lifted the guy up like in Halloween 2 with the nurse. It shows how powerful and strong he is. Because that firefighter equipment's heavy as shit, as you know. So he's definitely got some muscles. But
he's got that old man strength.
Old man, he's in his 60s and he's like a bodybuilder. But great shot. So that's another honorable mention for the Halloween franchise, and franchise we both love.
So many great kills along the way throughout all these films. Can't wait to go back to Haddonfield next Halloween for Halloween Ends. We'll see how David Gordon Green's going to end his trilogy. We all know that Halloween isn't going to end. They're going to continue it in one way or the other. Somebody else's vision's going to come. But it'll be fun to see how David Gordon Green's going to wrap up the trilogy. It's supposed to take place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills. So we'll see what they do with the time jump. There's been a few, little tidbits here and there about where the story is going to go. Apparently it's going to be done with the trauma, the town with the violence. So we'll see how he plays it. With the time jump, it's going to be a little different. So we will see next Halloween Kills, and we'll be back to review that for 31 Days of Horror next year, 2022.
For Halloween Ends next year. when it all ends. We want to hear from you guys. What's your favorite Michael Myers kill? And what's your favorite Halloween movie? There's so many to choose from. Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit subscribe. So that about wraps it up for this Halloween edition of 31 Days of Horror. Had a great time this month talking with my best mate over here about Halloween movies, horror movies, TV shows, podcast interviews, all that great stuff. We had some giveaways this month. Yet another great October 31 Days of Horror. Had a blast. Thanks to everybody out there watching us, checking us out for the first time, or returning customers to the Cinephellas and enjoying how much fun we had with October and all the horror content. So really appreciate it. Thanks to everyone out there for watching us, checking us out right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, cinephellas.com. Man, we're not stopping. We're going to keep going. We got November coming up, a lot of films coming out soon. So we're going to be back here reviewing that right here on our YouTube channel. So thank you to all of you.
Plenty of goodies for you ghouls and goblins out there to come. This has been our favorite month of the year. We had a blast doing these 31 Days of Horror videos. We shot a lot. We pretty much covered every day this month. So pretty ambitious. And you can bet your sweet tarts that next Halloween season, we will be back for an all new 31 Days of Horror, reviewing films, that we didn't end up doing this year, but we've already got our, list going of ones that we didn't get to cover this year. And we'll be picking and choosing some really great ones for next year. And we can't wait to do that. This has been really fun. Like Logan said, and we're very thankful for you guys following along with us, commenting, subscribing, liking. Tell your friends about us if they're movie fans too. We love doing these videos, and we're going to keep on doing it. So until the next 31 Days of Horror. So I'm Bucky, the power plant mechanic that ends up getting thrown in the transformer and electrocuted.
And I'm Aunt Linda, like totally.
Totally. All right, PJ Souls. Until the next 31 Days of Horror, this has been our Halloween Michael Myers Best Kills episode. We'll see you ghouls and goblins next Halloween. Happy Halloween from the Cinefellas.
Happy Halloween.
Trick or treat. Cheese.